Hey y'all, Cake here from Normal Minecart, and yes, it's been a very long while since I made a video where the first thing you see is my browser. But so recently it was revealed that we would be getting a Hellraiser game, Hellraiser Revival. Obviously, I reacted to the trailer, you can go see my reaction if you want, and if you want to see the full uncensored version, you can go down to my Patreon. Anyways, self-promotion aside, believe it or not, but Hellraiser Revival actually isn't the first time where a Hellraiser game would be made. In fact, all the way back in the 90s, yes, that's right, I'm pulling up the Lost Media Wiki, we almost got a Hellraiser game for the NES, but it was scrapped. Now, this video is mostly just going to be me reading over the wiki page of this game in the Lost Media Wiki, so I'll have this in the description if any of you are interested. So, yeah. So as it reads, Hellraiser, non-existent build of unreleased NES game based on horror film, 1990. And, yeah, it's currently, the status is unexistent, which is a real shame. Also, yeah, don't mind all the, ads here, so, yeah. I'll make an account later. But yeah, so, this video is mostly going to be me reading the document, so, yeah, here goes. Okay, hold on, let me take a quick swig. Alright, on to it. Hellraiser is a cancelled 1990 NES video game based on the 1987 film of the same name. The game was developed by Color Dreams, who are infamously known for creating unlicensed video games of poor quality. Already off to a great start. Nintendo required that all game companies that wanted to release a game on the Nintendo Entertainment System had to pay for the game to be evaluated by Nintendo and given an official license to release a game on their system. Due to either not wanting to pay the fee or to avoid rejection by Nintendo, Color Dreams went around this by bypassing the 10 NES lockout chip and released games without a license on the NES. Typically in unique baby blue or black cartridges. So yeah, what a great company to make a game. Anyways, one ambitious game being developed by the company was Hellraiser. Dan Lawton, one of the founders of Color Dreams, had seen the film and liked it. Convincing his partners and the movie studio, he had acquired the rights to create a video game based on the film, spending around $35,000 to $50,000. Damn. Imagine future Dan Lawton just looking back on this and being like, alright, anyways, Lawton was aware that the NES couldn't handle the engine needed to create the game, so he hired an engineer named Ron Risley to create a new type of cartridge. The Special Cartridge. The cartridge came to be known as the Super Cartridge. The Special Cartridge contained a Z80 processor, programmable array logic chips, and an additional 4 megabytes of RAM. So, chances are, it could run Doom. Yeah. It was also capable of intercepting the NES processor's ROM and RAM access, so it could manipulate video in real time, as well as allowing pixel-by-pixel manipulation of the screen, some sprite manipulation, and also supported panning and zooming in on the hardware, such as fully animated backgrounds. Essentially, this meant that the game could switch colors between scans of the TV in real time and increase the effective number of colors on the screen, which is quite, I will say that is quite ambitious, especially for at the time. Obviously, something like this could be made, especially with the technology we have now, and also the modding community. Yeah. Well, the cartridge itself worked fine. The palette switching effect wasn't working as intended, as it didn't switch between colors fast enough. Another method to create the game was in a way of an add-on device, sold separately, that would plug into the expansion port on the bottom of an NES system. The combined cost of the add-on expansion and the Hellraiser cart would have been more expensive than the Super cartridge itself. So yeah. Gameplay. Gameplay focused around a character that was trapped in a Limican's puzzle box. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. I'm very sorry. From the film, the player could find ways in the game to manipulate the outside of the puzzle box and solve it to escape. The Cenobites would interfere with the player's plans to escape. Changing the configuration of the cube on the outside would have affected level layout on the inside. Which again, no, this is a NES game. This is a NES game on the NES. Anyways, once the puzzle was solved, the player and the demons would be free, and it was up to the player to solve the puzzle in reverse order to defeat the escaped enemies. And now we get to the cancellation. Due to the high production costs of creating the Super cartridge, it would have sold at a high price. Because of the game's unlicensed nature, another major issue arose when many retailers stopped selling games not licensed by Nintendo. Uh-oh. Allegedly, store owners feared that if Nintendo found out that they were selling unlicensed video games on the console, Nintendo would cease doing business with them. Yeah, fair enough. Combined with the high cost of the cartridge, supposedly the game cost $2 million to create. Damn. And the lack of retailer support, the game would have sold poorly and may have ran Color Dreams out of business. Well, considering that earlier it was shown or like explained that Color Dreams made games of poor quality, I don't think that would have been the bad thing. Well, it would have been bad thing for them, but not for everyone else. Anyways, Hellraiser was worked on for a couple more months before it was quietly cancelled. Advertisements had been printed and featured on magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro, and Nintendo Power, some of which were also referred to Sega Genesis and Atari Lynx versions were never mentioned elsewhere. Color Dreams later formed a new label named Bunch Games around the same year until finally forming Wisdom Tree in 1991. The label focused on creating unlicensed Christian-themed video games. It's said by a former developer that Color Dreams still had the license to use the Wolfenstein 3D engine that was meant to be used with Hellraiser. So yeah, this Hellraiser game was supposed to use the Wolfenstein 3D engine. So yeah. So they carried the license over to Wisdom Tree, most likely in order to create Supernova's Arc 3D for the Super Nintendo in 1994. Yes, that's right. The Hellraiser game, the scrapped Hellraiser game, ended up becoming a game adaptation of Noah's Ark. I just find that really funny. And actually, little side story. So back then, when I was a child and I lived in Tennessee, I had this character called Supernova, which, yes, that is my dead name. Please note this was at a time before I realized, oh wait, am trans. But yeah, so I had this character Supernova, which was basically me, but as a superhero. And one day I just decided to Google Supernova on Google, and I got the NES game Supernova's Arc 3D. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that. But yeah. When asked for the possibility of a prototype or the game files, Dan Lawton responded by saying the hardware was done and the artwork was 20% done. There was no programming. It was a 45-degree down angle view with a maze of stone and walls and pits. And as we can see, here's everything. Here, I'll click. Oh, okay, that's. Yes, I am human. You can. But yeah, so this is Okay, this is going to take way too damn long. Okay, yeah, so here are the posters. So yeah, we have primarily box art. The final box would have been a replica of the puzzle box from the film. Magazine advertisement promoting the Super cartridge. Advertisement promoting the various features of the game, no dimension of Sega Genesis and Atari Lynx versions. And finally, contest promotional advertisements featuring Hellraiser on the bottom left. So yeah, so yeah, honestly, I will say it does look nice. Like, you do look cool. Yeah, but here's the thing. There are some heckin' errors for this page. So, go over the errors. Wolfenstein 3D would not release until 1992, and even if Wolf 3D was in development way back in 1990, which it wasn't, Hellraiser could not use an improved version because it would have to be based on the original Wolf 3D, or a beta/alpha version. There was a planned Hellraiser FPS on the Wolf 3D engine, but it was for PC and started development in 1994. The NES game and the PC game were both from Color Dreams, but they are two completely different games. Now, part of me was wanting to look up the PC game, but considering it was also made by Color Dreams, yeah, it was also probably canceled. Now, here's the interesting thing. There is some form of, like, source code or, like, a recreation of what this Hellraiser NES game would have been. I believe Civi played it. I'll put the thumbnail of the video on the screen, and I'll link the video in the description if you want to check it out. But, yeah. Sorry, that was just my phone. But yeah, that's the history of the canceled Hellraiser NES game. And honestly, it's a real shame that this game got cancelled. Obviously, yes, the NES version was way too ambitious, and it probably should have just been a PC game that was also probably ported to the Sega Genesis and Atari Lynx. But, yeah. Yeah, before this actually ends, I actually want to go over the collector's edition of Hellraiser Revival. So yeah, there's actually two versions of it. The first one comes with a Lament or Genesis puzzle box with LED features, a trading card pack, which is interesting, and obviously the game itself. So yeah, honestly, the trading cards interest me. Like, what would you use them for besides trading? But anyways, go to the main collector's edition that I want to possibly get somewhere down the line. So yeah, obviously we have the game itself. Yeah, we have the game itself. We have the trading cards from the previous version. Then we have a 27 by 40 poster, which looks awesome. We have some enamel pins, which is definitely something I want to pick up because I love collecting enamel pins. We have a official art book because that's what most video game collector's editions have. We have a fine art print, a digital soundtrack, this really freaking epic Cenobite statue and puzzle box, or yeah, this Cenobite statue with a puzzle box, and it has LED features, and everything comes in this collector's edition box, which is themed after the Lament configuration box. Which, yeah, that's pretty much everything for the collector's edition. Honestly, it's really freaking cool. Again, this is definitely okay. Look, I have a huge list of, like, video game collector's editions that I want to get, and this is definitely one of them. But yeah, so that was a little video I made about the canceled Hellraiser game, and also a short segment about Hellraiser Revival's collector's edition. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on this? Would you like to possibly see me play this fan-made prototype of what the Hellraiser NES game would have looked like? Would you like me to play that? Because personally, I'm kind of interested in it. But yeah, anyways. Make sure you all subscribe and like for more, and I'll see you all later. Peace out, home guards, and goodbye!